This woman posted in the marriage subreddit saying, husband doesn't know what to feed my kid and blames me for it. Now, she does explain that this is actually their kid. It is his kid as well. She doesn't know why she said my kid. Now, let's look at her caption before looking at some of these screenshots. She says, I work evenings. I've always been in charge of food in our house. He does other tasks like dishes, laundry, etc. But when it comes to groceries, cooking, that sort of thing, it's on me. Prior to moving in with me, my husband basically lived on cereal and popcorn. The mental load of doing all the meal planning, grocery budgeting, etc. is a lot. I don't have nearly the time to cook as I used to, so a lot of what we do is sandwiches, frozen veggies, rice and beans, etc. When my kid was at the age of being introduced to solids, I used to have to list solids for him to try with her while I was at work. During that time, I worked days. Frequently, he wouldn't even offer her anything until I got home, just milk. Flash forward to her being a toddler. All she wants is milk all day, every day. She's about to turn 3 and still doesn't care about mealtime. I've tried being structured about it, but she's still unresponsive. Well, now my husband is constantly texting me at work, asking what to feed her. I've laid out so many options for him. I've gone so far as to prep dinners for her that he can just take from the fridge. All summer, our school system was providing meals, and often she'd have leftovers from lunch to offer for dinner. And yet, still, he never knows what to feed her. He says he was a picky kid and has a lot of bad memories about not eating dinner, so he's extra sensitive about this. But at this point, I don't know what to do. I'm attaching screenshots of multiple conversations we've had about this. At this point, I don't even know what he wants. I blacked out my kid's name. Am I missing something here? This is how he texts when he gets frustrated. Lots of repetitiveness and just being nasty, but he'll swear he's not being mean. This is me getting tagged in. I was actually tagged in a couple of times. Double Oxer says, this one is for you. I'm about to read these screenshots for the video. She gave us 11 of them. Just as I was sitting up here reading this beforehand, I was exhausted for her. I don't know and understand how you could put up with this level of, this has to be emotional abuse or something. This is not right. He's in black. He says, what's blank supposed to eat for supper tonight? I worked overnight last night and I'm exhausted. She says, there are chicken nuggets in the fridge. They can be warmed in the microwave and or toaster oven. She can also have a sandwich. I believe there's also a hamburger in the fridge from a few days ago wrapped in foil. So she gives him 3 options. He says, I have to work overnight because of your job, so I can't do most of the food shopping. She says, sorry, I could have planned something out today, even though she gave him options. He says, this has been going on for a year, as you know. She says, yes, I'm sorry. There's also frozen veggies in the freezer and lots of fruit in the fridge. He says, so what happened? He says, I don't know what to feed blank and I'm really tired. I need help and I'm still not getting it. She says, do you need me to make like a weekly menu? I can work on something over the weekend to try to make this easier. And then he's like, blank, eat. The need is clear. Don't ask me to clarify. Blank, eat, blank, eat, blank, eat. Go with it. I don't need to know what to do, and I'm extremely tired, and that has to be important. Bracing myself for your opinion of my fatigue. She says there's fruit, there's vegetables, there's frozen veggies in the freezer that can be heated in a bag. There's bread for sandwiches, there's yogurt. I'll try to whip up some more prepped meals as well. I think we're out of school lunches. There's tortillas and cheese if you want to make quesadillas. Actually, I think there's still some broccoli and ranch from yesterday's school lunch that she didn't eat in the fridge, as well as a garlic roll. He says, I don't know what's for supper. I'm very tired. She says, okay, I'll do better with the food prep stuff going forward. I'm sorry. So she keeps apologizing, and that is frustrating for me. It's frustrating that she's listing out all of this and he's still acting like he doesn't understand. This seems like a different day. He says, zero idea what to feed blank for supper. She says, is she not into the chicken and carrots in the fridge that I set aside for her? He says, why am I having to explain this again? She says, I made her dinner. It's in the fridge. Chicken and carrot sticks. If she doesn't like that, offer her toast and or fruit. He says, so think. Why would I say that I have zero idea what to feed blank for supper? Can you just get to it so I don't have to explain the entire thing again? Did something happen that made you think the problem was solved? She responds with, I'm sorry this is so difficult for you and that I'm not making it easier. I too am at a loss if she doesn't want those things. The best we can do is keep offering her things and encouraging her to eat it. Sometimes she just wants diced turkey. Maybe offer her that and a cheese stick. He responds with supper. She says, yes, turkey and cheese is a valid supper. It's basically a charcuterie plate, can even throw in apple slices. He says, supper. I'm trying to feed blank, supper, not breakfast and snacks. What's frustrating is that we've gone back and forth several times and you're almost participating in the conversation. She says, I'm trying very hard to help you. I don't know what else to offer beyond what I've offered. If she isn't eating what is offered to her, that is okay, and we can keep trying. We just need to be persistent. She doesn't have to have a full elaborate sit-down meal. Snacks for dinner is fine. And he says, I'm not sure why you're not checking in regularly on this. I check in from the blank to see if blank is sleeping okay more often than you check in on blank is eating supper. I hotel twice a week. Blank lives every day. Your disinterest in this is very disappointing. Then when I broach the topic, you sea lion it, so I have to reset the complete game board every time. Great. Then we argue instead of work towards an objective. She says, okay, thank you for pointing that out. I will be more on top of checking in about dinner. He says, no, get the point. This isn't a box to check. To you, this issue is dealing with Adam, so you avoid it. If you'd make it about blank, you would behave differently. His attitude is just disgusting to me. Y'all, someone's going to have to weigh in on what this is, because this is there has to be some kind of name for this manipulation tactic. She says, I don't know what else to tell you. There's plenty of food in the house, including food specifically set aside for blank. If she doesn't like the options she's presented with, it is what it is, and we can just keep trying each day. It is okay. He says, I don't know what else to offer. I don't know what else to tell you. Then why are you saying all of these other words? Why are you here? Why would you offer that to the conversation? She says, every time you ask for suggestions, I give you a ton of them. Please utilize them. She's getting frustrated. He says, no, you don't. No, you do not. You list refrigerator inventory. I do not know what to feed D. A list of items in the fridge that I can see isn't what I'm talking about. Catch up. She says, then this is something you need to figure out. I cannot think for you. He says, show interest. Stop making it about your resentment of me. Make it about meeting an objective. She says, if I'm listing for you a ton of options and you see that as me not giving you guidance, that's a you problem. There's plenty of food. I've told you tons of times what to feed her. He says, that is not proactive or helpful. Why would you type that? Why are you typing all this stuff that doesn't address the objective? She says, because I already gave you suggestions that did address the objective. He says, no, you didn't. You're just arguing. Humanize blank. Put your petty feelings aside. They don't matter. Listing things in the fridge that I can see with my eyes obviously doesn't address the issue. It delays it. I'm having a hard time understanding. I'm sorry. If blank doesn't eat the options presented to her, we can keep trying or keep asking her what she wants. I try to keep a wide variety of things to offer her for this purpose. Sometimes she wants none of it, and that's okay. She's growing. She's getting nutrients. Sometimes she's just not that hungry for dinner. You'd have an easier time understanding if you showed more initiative and interest in this part of the matter. I've said several times we need to address this daily, and still no such interest from you. You don't understand because you don't hold yourself accountable for it. I'm frustrated and worried and confused, and every time I bring it up, I get, What's a blank? And she says, I'm sorry. He says, I'm trying to figure out how to feed a kid, and you're trying to stage some drama that nobody on earth will ever be interested in. I want to divorce him so badly now after reading this 11 pages of screenshots. I'm going to do some of the comments in a separate post since this has gone 10 minutes. This is part 2 of the husband doesn't know what to feed my kid and blames me for it post. So I can go through some of the comments. I like to click into people's pages because I like to see if they made comments on their own posts and to kind of see some of their post history. This one at the bottom, abusive relationship subreddit, talking about DCF involvement help. So DCF, I think that's Department of Children and Families or something like that. This right here that we could see without me even clicking into it. I've been in an emotionally abusive relationship for years, married 7.5, have an almost 3-year-old. So that's that one. In the marriage subreddit, husband doesn't want to buy a car. A year and a half ago, our family car was stolen. At the time, where we lived, we were able to function pretty well without a car, so we decided not to replace it. She posted that in the marriage subreddit. 11 days ago, she posted in the abusive relationships. I didn't click into this, but just the title. Does your abuser ever accuse you of Darvo? For the entirety of my marriage, my emotionally abusive husband had accused me of being the abuser. And so we can kind of put this in perspective with some of those text messages that we have seen. This woman knows that she's not in a healthy relationship, but what is she going to do about this? Now, I went to this page so I could see some of her comments, and I know that she is fed up and just about ready to leave. But let's look at some of the comments on this post. Oh, I didn't even see this one at the bottom. Domestic violence. You know what? Let me go back and click into that one. I was about to get into the comments, but then I saw that she had posted in the DV subreddit before now, so let's look at this post. It says, DCF involved, regret calling cops. She says, about a month ago, my husband and I had a blow-up argument that resulted in him dumping out some of my cold brew and liquid vitamins. He often throws things of mine away when he is mad. I tried to grab them from him, and he claimed I put him in a headlock and bit me. Nothing severe, but enough it scared me. I was super angry and sad and tired of him doing this stuff, so I called the police, mostly to call his bluff. I had said I'd call next time he threw stuff out. The law says that any domestic dispute when a child is in the home must be reported to DCF. My 2-year-old was home but not in the room. I understood that. I'm a licensed social worker as well, so I prepared myself. The caseworker who reached out was super nice, and after interviewing both of us and touring our home, she was like, this doesn't seem like something that rises to a level of concern for child safety, so I'm going to do my due diligence and call your collaterals, but I plan to close this case. I'm not concerned unless you tell me you are. Since this incident, my husband has been better. Calling his bluffs seemed to have worked, and so things have been much calmer. Then today, the DCF worker called to let me know she decided to open a case. She says she called previous jurisdictions and found out that I called the police before, years ago, before having a kid, when my husband threatened to self-delete, then left the home. Police came, I told them he'd come back and wasn't concerned anymore, and they left before even getting our names. I cannot believe they found this. She also said she had some concerns about some things he'd said about my drinking habits. My husband has been accusing me of alcoholism for years, which literally everyone else in my life is like, what? I almost 100% stopped drinking back in November just to shut him up and do not keep any alcohol in the home. I have one drink maybe once a month or so when out with a friend. I've never had trouble choosing not to drink. I admit I used to go overboard from time to time, but since my kid has been born, that has happened exactly once. And when he called me out on it, I owned it and then never let it happen again. So now DCF is claiming he had concerns there was alcohol in my coffee, that he threw it out, and that's why he threw it out. He said in the moment, but I thought he was actually experiencing delusions and would not say that. He would not say that after he got his head on straight. I am concerned for this woman. She's been dealing with this for years. She posted in ADHD, unsupportive partner. She posted in BPD, loved ones, can't win, everything I do is wrong. 3 years ago, she posted in BPD, loved ones again, walking in a minefield. This has been going on for way too long, and it sounds like this woman really does need some kind of therapy to break away because she knows that she's being abused. She works in social work, so she probably can figure out where to get some resources from, but she's sticking and staying, and this is wild to me. Immediately Maybe says, wow, this was hard to read. How do you put up with this? I'm sure there are YouTube videos he could watch that would help him and take some of the load off of you. This is textbook weaponized incompetence. And then Moonlight says 100% weaponized incompetence. Over interaction says precisely. He wants her to say, okay, I'll cook every dinner before I go to work from now on. Anything else, she says, isn't helping to him. That's why he keeps going around in circles, acting like OP isn't tired either. This person says, yeah, but the kid is not eating. She's surviving on milk. Yikes. And then Sparkles in Space says she cannot be getting enough nutrients to be growing properly. OP should get her checked out by a doctor to make sure she's not anemic, etc. Also, OP should tell the doctor what's going on so it's documented that dad isn't feeding the daughter adequately in case OP needs it later in the divorce. Here's the OP saying, she eats throughout the day, just not as much as I wish she would. And I've talked with her doctor about it. She's very healthy and growing adequately, and he isn't concerned. She just often doesn't want to sit down for a full meal. She's more of a grazer. Apparently, it makes my husband nervous. Maka Ella says she's the most patient human on the internet. And then Lady ADHD says, seriously, with an emotionally mature partner, she'd probably be one of those weird people who needs to be studied because they're so happy and well adjusted. And then the OP says, funny you say that because he often tells people he married me because I'm the happiest person he ever met. And he was fascinated by it. We were friends for 7 years before dating. But once we got married, he was like he resented how happy I was. Wow. So it's like he saw that she was happy and needed to tap into her life force and suck her dry. There has got to be some word for this. No Emergency says, you've been posting and complaining about him for 40 years. What are these posts for? Venting? And she says, at this point, yes. I'm working with the therapist and starting my plan to leave. But sometimes I just need to vent and need to be reminded I'm not horrible. So she is at least thinking about leaving and creating a game plan. No Emergency says, you're not horrible and I'm sorry you're going through this. However, it's been a very long time. It's time to leave, and I think you've known for just as long as you've been openly discussing it. And I needed to get to this part before I close it out. Royal Put says, you're missing something. He just resents your job and wants you to handle the feeding. I'm not siding with him, but merely pointing out that you're not presenting rational options to someone that is not interested in them. He's not saying it, but he wants you to do it all while he sleeps. I'm sorry you're in this situation. You deserve better. And to that, she says, he absolutely resents my job. Regularly tells me how much he hates my job, wants me to quit and find something that is more accommodating to our family. I think it's because I make a lot more than he does and he resents that. I'm a crisis social worker, and a lot of the times it means that my job is not standard hours. However, I do my best to keep my schedule. Anytime I ask to veer from that, it's the end of the world, though he regularly picks up extra shifts at his 2 part-time jobs. He doesn't work full-time without even consulting me. So she makes money. And she has the financial ability to leave. He wants her to quit, and that will jack her up if she does decide to leave. It would make her more financially insecure. This tells a whole lot. He resents her for this reason, and he is trying to make her work life terrible by texting her throughout the whole day. All right, y'all. This is where I'm going to stop. Hopefully this woman gets it together and gets out of there. She does not need to be there for her own mental health, but she doesn't need her daughter seeing this either. Join the conversation. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I was tagged in this post in the TikTok cringe subreddit. This caption says, 1964 footage of a wife and husband having a serious conversation. And in this serious conversation, this is a housewife. She's doing everything in the home. And she's like, I don't know anything about you. You don't talk to me. You're gone all day. I don't have anyone to talk to. And this is 1964. This is obviously before women had rights to do anything. This just sets the scene, this sets the scene perfectly. This is what men of right now want to take us back to, where they are always talking about how, marriages lasted so much longer back then. It's because women didn't have any choices. You're telling me, I'm going to play this video in just a moment, but this woman is like begging for her husband to even have a conversation with her. She's bored. This is the reason why so many women were medicated, and I'm using that in quotes. They were medicated because they were unfulfilled. They were servants of the home then, and we're still servants of the home now. We're a wife appliance right now, but they had no choices. They could not just up and go get a job. And this is the reason why feminism became a thing, so that women had the opportunity to have financial security without being solely dependent on a man. This woman right here, obviously, in 1964, couldn't pick herself up and leave, but he could. And that's another reason why feminism became a thing, because the husbands in these situations could pick themselves up and leave, and the woman would be, what am I going to do about food, about this house, about taking care of these kids? Because the husbands could leave. They could pick up themselves and take all of their finances with them and then leave these women to struggle. And let's not act like it didn't happen. So let's go ahead and watch the video.
I really don't feel that you take the time even to tell me anything that you're doing during the day to make me feel at all close to you. I can't just see you on Saturday night and Sunday and really feel part of your life.
Well, I just feel that you've got better things to worry about here at home and to worry about the problems that I encounter during the day. Why add more to your day and problems? Granted, you may want to be a part of these problems, but there isn't anything that you can do. Excuse me, it's something that I have to work out. Things that you shouldn't be concerned with. You're concerned enough about the home and about having things perfect.
If I don't know anything about you from 6 o'clock in the morning until 12:30 at 1 o'clock at night when you come home, what can I say? How can I feel close to you? How can I know what your problems are? This is all part, the things that I do, the little things that not necessarily Johnny does, and things that are interesting you might want to know about and so forth, but
this is all I want to hear.
Things like
That's all that's interesting.
the dishwasher breaking or whatever, little problems that I have with repairmen coming or people coming to the door, these little things. This is really petty conversation too, but I have nothing else to tell you, and I feel that through these things you feel close to me. And you feel close to what is going on here at home. And I take the time to tell you these things. And that's why whenever you do have a chance, I mean, there are times when I think you're too dedicated and you do too much, especially community work. I never object that much to business obligations and so forth. But there are times when I think you should realize that there are other people in the community besides you, and that you have a certain responsibility to me, even if not to Joni and so forth. And I think at times it is a little bit selfish. It is.
What do you mean selfish?
Well, you should be home even if you don't do a thing. There are nights and there are times when it gets to be just week after week after week of being away. And there are times when you really should just forget some community activity, I feel, and just come home, and even if you don't do a thing, just to be.
This comment, Lexa Days Sickle says, he's gone from 6:30 in the morning until 1 in the morning. Those community activities run late, huh? And he could do all of the extracurriculars because she was at home doing all of the home stuff and making sure that his clothes were clean, that he had a meal when he came home from his extracurricular activities. He could do it all. And this is what these dudes want to go back to, those times when women just had no choice but to take care of them and they could do whatever the hell they felt like. And that's what Ecstatic says. Yeah, he's living 2 lives. She is living 0 lives. She has no life outside of being a chef and a house cleaner and a nanny. Well, I mean, it's her kids, but you know what I'm saying. A wife appliance, bang maid, and incubator. That's all she has. Downtown Recover says psychiatry at the time just could not figure out why so many women were depressed. It was a real effing mystery. Maybe they just need to lose weight. And then No Jello for Me says, nah, it's just too much stress. Here, take some Valium. Excellent Shape says, my mother took these magic diet pills that helped her lose weight and have more energy for cleaning the house. You were on speed, Mom. Fossil Hun says, years ago there was a fake radio ad with a woman talking at breakneck speed. I'm the president of the PTA. I am the den mother for a group of Cub Scouts. I volunteer at the hospital 1 day a week, and I have dinner ready at 6 p.m. sharp every evening. How do I do it? Speed. River Scout says there was an anti-meth ad on TV in Germany when I visited a friend there 20 years ago. She had 4 kids under 7 with the youngest a newborn. The ad showed a woman maniacally scrubbing her house in the middle of the night. We thought it was more of an endorsement than a deterrent. Like, yes, you can have all these kids and keep everything clean. See, I can do everything. Oh my God, I'm dizzy after that. Childhood Okay at the top says, Debs, my late mother, used to get a wistful glint in her eye when she talked about them. Major Menace says, back in my heavy pill usage days, I do 4 milligrams of Xanax split into 2 doses and take a White Monster energy drink. Woke me up, but took the edge off, and you're on autopilot until it's time to go home. Literally a time machine in a chill pill. This person says, the American dream. And Lala Licious says, uppers in the morning, downers in the evening, weed at supper time. I don't know if that is the best recipe, but that is what Lala Licious says. This is what Project 2025 wants to take us back to. This is what Doug Wilson and Toby Sumpter and those Theo bros want to take us back to. This is what the manosphere acts like they want to take us back to, back when women had no choices, no financial freedom, and could be controlled because they had nowhere to go. This is the reason why I will continue to share women's stories, because we cannot go back to this type of time frame, because these women were miserable. They were miserable, and they wanted to get out of the house, because how fulfilling can washing laundry and cooking and cleaning be every day, day in and day out, and not have anybody to talk to? This is not the American dream that many of us want. We do not want to go back here. You know what? Some people might. Whatever. If this is what your American dream is, cool. But the important thing is that we have freedom of choice, and we can opt in or opt out, and we can leave when things are no longer serving us. Let me know what you think about all of this.
It's insane to me that people think that because I'm a witch, I worship the devil. Like, come on. I don't worship men. Blech.